Hello friends, welcome back to English for English. Now today's video will be on a shortcut trick as to how to use these three conjunctions, that, if, or whether, in noun clauses. So remember, when we construct a complex sentence, we have a principal clause and a subordinate clause. That subordinate clause can be of three types: either noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause. Alright then, so remember that whenever we construct a noun clause, it indicates sort of a fact, a statement. Okay then, so what is the big deal about that, or if, or whether in constructing a noun clause? So let me show you something at the very beginning before I enter into the central part of the video. So here is the sentence. Look, he wondered dash they would support the cause. Now it is a complex sentence. This is the principal clause, and here the rest of the part is going to be the subordinate clause. Now this subordinate clause is also a noun clause, because we have to use any of these three conjunctions, that, or if, or whether. Now which one is suitable over here? Should we use that, or should we use if or whether? That means, should we say he wondered that they would support the cause, or he wondered if or whether they would support the cause? So the correct answer is if or whether and not that. But why? Why should we drop that and use if or whether in this context? Because this is going to be a noun clause. All right. So before I enter into the main part again, let me show you something else that will clarify the situation further, and that will help us in comprehending the central idea of this video. Alright then, so in order to find out the true nature of that and if or whether in noun clauses, let us encounter two situations of direct narrations, like now, if we convert these direct speeches into indirect, we know the answers. He said that he was a student. Fine. So I am using that over here. That is the conjunction, and this part here is a noun clause. In the second case, we are changing the reporting verb said into asked, because the reported speech is not a statement but an interrogation. Okay, that's why we have to use the verb accordingly. Then, since we have used this asked, we cannot say that. We have to use if or whether. Then the subject will come first. And since we are indicating the idea of question or interrogation through this verb asked, we should not put the interrogation mark, we should put full stop. Okay, so this is simple exercises of narration. Here again, from if till the end of the sentence, it is the noun clause, and the rest of the part is the principal clause. So PC over here, noun clause or subordinate clause. Okay, same here. All right. Now let us try to understand or get into the root of the explanation or the logic, and that is, remember, if we frame a complex sentence, now this is the complex sentence, this is again a complex sentence. So the rule is, if we construct a complex sentence where the subordinate clause is nothing but a noun clause, okay, and if the noun clauses begin with any one of these three conjunctions, either that or if or whether, then remember the principal clause verb, it determines whether we have to use that or if or whether. How? Simply remember the rule now, that if the verb of the principal clause indicates that the speaker is certain or sure about the fact that is going to be described or mentioned in the subordinate clause or in the noun clause, then we have to use that. And on the other way, if the speaker is not sure about it, certain about it, if he is in doubt, if he is having some sort of question regarding the statement mentioned in the noun clause or the subordinate clause, then we have to use if or whether. That's the rule, okay? So said here, he said means he is certain about this fact. That's why we are using that, the conjunction. Here, he asked because he was not certain, he was not sure about this fact. As a result, we have to use if or whether. That's the rule. So in other words, if there is certainty in the speaker about the fact he is going to narrate or explain next through the noun clause, then we have to use that. Otherwise, we have to use if or whether, especially when the speaker is in doubt, the speaker is not sure, the speaker is not certain about the fact that is to be mentioned or explained or uttered in the noun clause. Okay? So remember, certainty needs or demands that, uncertainty will demand if or whether. Okay, let us now come across a varieties of sentences, a varieties of verbs in the principal clauses that will of course determine whether we have to begin our noun clause with that or if or whether. All right, fine. Look at these situations. The subject is common, I, then we have this part also common. Now these are the various verbs in the principal clause. We have to use either that here or if or whether to construct a complex sentence. Now remember again, these verbs of the principal clause will indicate some sort of certainty or uncertainty. If there is the idea of certainty, then we have to use that. If not, then we have to use if or whether. Okay, the first one, I have heard. So I have heard meaning I have definite information. That means we have to use that. I am sure about this fact. So the sentence is, I have heard that RCB will win the IPL this year. We must not say, I have heard if or whether RCB will win the IPL this year. That's wrong. So we have to use that. Next, I am sure. The indication of certainty. So we have to use that. Again, not certain. It should be if or whether. Next is very, very important. Do not think, although in negative, the speaker, I, is quite certain about this fact. So it should be again that. So the sentence is, I do not think that RCB will win the IPL this year. We must not say, I do not think if or whether RCB will win the IPL this year. Be careful. Next, believe. I believe means I have the definite information. Accordingly, my belief has settled. So it should be that again. I believe that. I am unsure if or whether. I am in doubt, again if or whether. I wonder, because I have no information, I'm not certain. So again if or whether. I have no clue, again if or whether. I feel curious. I feel curious because I want to know, because I don't have any definite information. So again I want to know. I want to know, again I have no definite idea, I have no definite information, I want to know, I am not certain. I have no information, again. Okay, so look at the verbs of the principal clause. That will determine whether or not we have to use that, the conjunction, or if or whether just at the beginning of the dependent clause or the subordinate clause or the noun clause, to be more specific. All right, so this is the shortcut. So keep watching and improve day by day and serve your motherland. Thanks for watching.